Alright, how's it going everybody? Today we're going to be doing another beta preview video, and this one's going to be on the Divine. The Divine has finally been finished, at least the same amount as the other characters on the beta, and going to be taking a look at what those new evolution paths are, so I am looking forward to seeing how good this character is. There's going to be no images in the evolution screen right now, but it's going to have the name, so we can worry about the images later basically. But I'm gonna go ahead and take a look. The SP regen, it looks like it's the same. I think this is the exact same amount it was before, 500. You can generally figure this out by just like looking at what slot it's at. Originally, in the base game, each one just goes up by 100, so you know, Adventure is 100, Crusader would be 200, Cultist is 300, and then so on and so forth. But they've been changing the SP amounts because trying to just basically find, I think, a good middle point, basically, for all of the characters, what makes the weapon skills more playable, basically. So, I'm going to be taking a look at the Divine, like I said, and it looks like the skill has the same name still, Imperial Obliteration. Temporarily lose control, damage all enemies on the screen with a base damage bonus of 3, invincible while casting, and for a short time after, cannot gain SP while invincible. So this base damage bonus of 3, that's new. What that exactly, you know, maths out to, I'm not 100% sure, but we'll be able to see if it's more or less damage, basically. But everything else for the rest, for the most part, is exactly the same. And then like all the other classes, it will evolve at level 30 and 60. And so just another, I'm just going to read this every single time, I think. Basically, this is a new disclaimer that's on all of the characters, because a lot of people are asking, you know, what affects what skills, basically. And this basically just says, unless otherwise stated in its description or when evolving a weapon skill, all stats affect weapon skills. So everything, like, it will affect a weapon skill unless it's specifically stated that it does not work. So keep that in mind, everyone. And then I'll be playing Nomad as always, just to make things go a little bit faster. Same thing with 2 times XP. I like the visual effects. Looks a little bit different in my opinion. The damage looks about the same though. So as always, I'm gonna go ahead and try and pick up like SP regen. Let's see what else. You know, item pickup, skill size, and maybe amount. We'll see. But I'm gonna go ahead and skip to level 30, and we will take a look at what those first skills are. Alright guys, we're about to hit level 30 here in a second. I went ahead and picked up a material cloak to level 5 so that it pulls everything towards me. I think it's a little bit easier basically that way, just to make my life easier when it comes to picking up everything. Alright, so ooh, this is nice. It's kind of like yin and yang, the white and the black. So we have the white, and like I said earlier, the images are not out yet. This is something that's going to be added. Right now, I think we're on patch 1.5. Let's see, 1.5.5a, so there's going to be, you know, more patches for the Divine release, as well as more images and more character skills as they release. But let's take a look at the white. The SP seems the same, and this allows movement while casting Imperial Obliteration. That in itself, pretty cool. So one of the reasons why I disliked the Divine so much was because you feel like you can't move. I really don't like being like stuck. That's why I like the Whisper so much, because even though your character itself isn't moving, you still get to move with the spirit, right? Whereas with the Divine, you couldn't move. So I think this is going to open up a ton of gameplay, because this is going to make the Divine very, very strong on the gemstone run-throughs. Just because, you know, the Divine, you can already cheese it pretty well with evasion, but now that you can move a little bit, that's going to help a ton. And now let's take a look at the black. The SP cost is actually 300, so it goes down. That's new. Haven't seen that before in any of the other characters. And Imperial Obliteration is replaced. Instead, release a damaging beam that quickly circles around you. Movement is allowed while casting this ability. SP cannot be recovered while this ability is active. Beams inflict 2 times base damage. So, for the sake of the fact that I picked up a couple skill size, I'm going to go ahead with the black for this first one. So it's going to replace it with the beam. So, oh my gosh. Alright, so obviously, you know, the first thing I'm going to say here is that, oh, it's just Infernal Ray, but good. And I mean, yes, that is exactly my first thought. I like it a little bit more though, because obviously it's faster, it's way more consistent, it is outputting a ton of damage. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's hitting each enemy about like 4 times as it passes through them, 4 or 5 times. And its crit rate is really, really high. So this skill path I can see working really well with crit. I can see it working really well with death sting, all that good stuff. And then I also, I mean, since it didn't explicitly state it, my thought process is maybe projectile speed makes it spin faster. I'll go ahead and test that out. But I really like this one. I like how it looks also. I'm kind of a sucker for aesthetics, and I think this looks pretty fantastic. I'll try and pick up... No, generally I try to not pick up any other weapon skills so we can see just like the base damage of the ability. So I was going to say I'll pick up Infernal Ray because I think that'd be really cool. But for the sake of this, I'm not going to. I will say Spectral Sword is not casting it. This might be a bug. I'm sure it probably is because it makes no sense that it wouldn't, as obviously it wasn't stated that it wasn't going to. So we should assume that Spectral Sword is supposed to be casting right now, but as this is the beta, there's obviously tons of stuff to work on, so I'm gonna assume that that is just a bug, and I'm gonna go ahead and let him know. But other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and skip to level 60 so that we can take a look at what this is gonna look like at the second evolution path. Alright, how's it going, guys? We're about to hit level 60, and as you can see, amount impacts the weapon ability. So, like it said in the disclaimer, as long as it doesn't explicitly state it, it is affected. And so it's a little buggy right now just because amount isn't applying correctly to the weapon skill. But if you didn't see that a second ago, I'm up to 4 beams at a time. This skill is absolutely bonkers. I do not see how you could possibly lose a map with this ability. It's great. So I'm excited to see what these two are. Alright, so Sanitizing Ray. The SP goes all the way down to 50. So it looks like you're about to just shoot things. So beams are more persistent due to a lower max SP requirement. Duration is also increased by 5 times. Okay, so you're just going to be spamming these things all day. And the crazy thing is, it doesn't say anything about reducing the damage. That is absolutely bonkers. Bonkers, bonkers, bonkers. So I'm amazed at that one. Unholy Arcanist. An additional beam is created with half damage and size, which aims counterclockwise. So I'm interested, does the additional beam that's created, does that also get the amount? So for the first one, I'm going to go Sanitizing Ray so we can take a look at this. Then when I go back and get level 60 again, I'll do the other one. I'll try to max out my amount so that we can see how many lasers we can get. But yeah, this is crazy. It's basically cast forever now. I don't... With the duration being 5 times longer, and I mean, obviously I can pick up more duration, so that's gonna... That could cap out at like... I don't even know. Here, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That was 18 seconds of constant cast. 18 seconds. You should never get touched with this ability. Ever. This is insanely strong. This is definitely, like, I thought the adventure was kind of cracked, but this is 100% taking my top slot for the time being for, like, max DPS. I would say that with the higher tier gemstone runs, you might have a little problems getting to this point. So that would be like one of my concerns, just like getting to level 60, because normally by the time you hit level 60 you're in a pretty good place. The Divine can cheese it pretty well with evasion, so I could see it being good, but I'm not sure without the invulnerability from the original ability. I'm not sure how well this would go, but the damage output is insane. This is going to be super helpful for anyone that's having any problems with any of the maps, basically. I can see this being able to clear map 1 insanely easy. Map 2, obviously you almost don't even see any mobs on my screen. And then map 3 should be just as simple. So I really like this one. And look at the boss damage, though. I mean, it gets cut in half. He just got sawed down, you know? So this is fantastic. I think this is in a really good place. I do think it might be a little bit overpowered, but who knows? Maybe that's what he wants. Wow, I really thought that thing would go away, but like before it killed me. But I'm gonna go ahead and run it back through the same path, but we're gonna be choosing the second choice for the level 60 evolve. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip there, and I'll see you then. All right, guys, we're about to hit level 60, and if you didn't see already, we got 5. Sadly, 5 is the max that you can go just through weapon skills. But if you were lucky enough to, say, pick up the Ascension Relics after 2, so you need 3 and 4, it gives you a mount plus 1. So that'd be pretty fun to see. But yeah, so we got 5 beams going. It's really fun with this new amount actually having an effect on it. And so just as a refresher, Sanitizing Ray is what we went earlier, so we're going to be going Unholy Arcanist. The SP is the same, and it adds an additional beam that deals half damage, and it's half the size, and it goes counterclockwise. So I'm interested to see if the amount is going to be added onto this additional beam, or if we'll just have one additional beam. Oh my lord, amount count towards it. Look at this thing. This thing is so mesmerizing. It reminds me of one of those old Windows screensavers. Like, you can see it's bugging a little bit, going back between 4 and 5 going at the same time, but this is this is absolutely absurd. I thought the first one was kind of crazy, right? But I think this might be a little bit more bonkers. I mean, we have 10 beams going at the same time. 5 of them do half damage. But I mean, half of, you know, several thousand really isn't that much of a nerf. So, and this is all without really picking up. I don't have any crit passives. I don't have any, like, damage passes. I have just one because I picked it up just randomly as my last one. You guys just saw that. All I have is duplication and size. So this is actually absurd. This looks fantastic. I really like how this was implemented. It looks very smooth. It looks very seamless. It might be a little cluttery for the screen where your character is, but nothing's going to be touching you anyways. So you're basically just going to be this moving ball of, oh my god, look at that trail too. That trail looks so good. And it's pretty optimized. I mean, my frames are just barely dropping, so I I like this a lot. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. This skill path would be good with the same things as the other one, honestly. You could go Curse. It's going to work really well with Curse. You could go crit chance and crit damage. You want to make sure that your SP is maxed. You can do duration, so the duration lasts longer. There's so many things that just work well with this. I think Death Sting probably is the best one, and then you throw in Curse just for the additional damage. And if you don't want to go the Death Sting route, you could go Crit, and that's also going to give you a ton of extra damage. I also do think that projectile speed is increasing the speed of these going around you, but I think that it's not 100% worked out, because sometimes, if you guys could see, it's going pretty fast, and other times it slows down a little bit. So definitely something that's still being worked on. I mean, guys, this is beta, so don't assume this is a polished concept. This is just what might be happening going forward. So I like it a lot. Gonna go ahead and start a new game, and we're gonna be checking out the white path for the Nomad. So I'm very interested to see how crazy the other route is, because the black side is absolutely absurd. But I'll go ahead and skip to 30 for you. Alright guys, about to hit level 30 here, and I'm excited to see what the other path is going to do for us. I went ahead and tried to pick up some movement speed for this one, because the whole thing about the white side at least seems like it's going to be around movement speed, so that's what I was kind of focusing on. Just as a reminder, the white, it's going to allow movement while casting Imperial Obliteration. The SP does not change. So this is something that I think is going to be nice for more of the cheese builds. The fact that you keep your movement basically during this it's kind of huge, because the Divine's very strong already when it comes to the high gemstone runs, because you get this invulnerability state for a couple of seconds, and once you get your SP regen up a lot, you're basically able to dodge every single ability, anything that's going to hit you, between your evasion and your invulnerability, which is like, you have like a half second where you can get hit basically once you get SP regen to max. So I'm excited that they're adding this movement. I think this makes the character more enjoyable, at least in my opinion. I don't enjoy being like stuck while I'm casting something, because this can put you in some bad situations if you're not one-shotting everything. So I'm excited to see where this path is going to evolve into. So I will go ahead and skip to level 60 so we can take a look at what the white path has to offer. Alright guys, we at level 60, and we're going to be taking a look at what the level 60 evolution paths look like for the white path. Both SPs are 500, so no changes there. And the first one is going to be called Guardian Angel. Summon a Guardian Angel to fight for you, attacking enemies I'm assuming that's supposed to be closest to you with enhanced knockback power and 2x base damage. Amount instead increases base damage by 1. Does not increase with size. Projectile speed increases how fast it moves. So it's somewhat similar to a Necromancer summon, but it doesn't increase with size. However, the projectile speed does increase how fast it moves. And then amount, you can't have additional angels, but it does give you increased damage by increasing your amount. I wonder if you can have the angel as well as the invulnerability, because that's going to be huge. The other path is going to be pure Incandescence, and this is going to have Imperial Obliteration, now damage enemy in a radius around yourself and not the entire size of the screen. This radius is equal to half of its original size, still really big, and cannot be modified with size. Base damage is increased by 4 times. So basically you're just 4 times your damage. That's about it. The circle gets a little bit smaller and you have 4 times the amount of damage. That's pretty hefty of an increase. Kind of dull a little bit, I have to say, because I don't know, it just doesn't seem like that's that good of a trade-off. But I can see where it might have some, you know, use cases in the gemstone runs, but if you're playing this character with additional abilities, I don't think it's that relevant. However, the Guardian Angel does sound really cool. So I am going to go ahead and go the Guardian Angel for the first one. Actually, I won't, because I don't have any projectile speed. So I'm going to go with the pure Incandescence. So basically, it's smaller, if you could see that, but the damage, I hit like 2,000 and then around like 4k on crits, 4 or 5k, which, I mean, that's really good damage. But I feel like your clear speed is probably a little bit slower. You don't hit as many enemies, and the only reason why this is almost okay is just because we can move. So I think the combination of increasing the damage, making it smaller, but having it on this path where we can move is extremely like worthwhile. This is gonna make this character, like, this path is at least viable. Since you can move. If you had to stay still when you cast this, I don't think this would be a very good evolution path. But since we could move, I will say that it is alright. I still think that it's a little lacking, but throw in a couple other abilities and passives, and I think you can have a really good time with the Divine on this evolution path. But I am excited to see what the Guardian Angel is going to look like. So since this one is basically just the same exact thing with 4 times damage, I'm not going to talk too much about like what additional abilities you want to pick up. It's almost nothing different than what the normal Divine would do. So going to go ahead and start a new run, and I will skip to when I hit level 60 so we can see what that second path looks like. Alright guys, we're about to hit level 60. We're going to check out the second path for the white path, and that's going to be Guardian Angel. And the SP does not change at all, and just as a reminder, it summons a Guardian Angel to fight for you, attacking enemies closest to you with enhanced knockback power and 2 times base damage. Amount instead increases base damage by 1, and it does not increase with size. Projectile speed increases how fast it moves. So I have maxed projectile speed, and wow, look at how big that is. And it looks like, you know, while you only can have, like, amount doesn't increase, it looks like you can cast multiple at a time. They have a certain duration timer, so I bet duration is probably pretty good with this character. It looks like they hit for a decent amount too. I would say the combination of being able to move, having the invulnerability, and these angels is pretty nice. I also have a feeling that they're going to be very, very good against bosses, because it does attack the enemy closest to you. So this is going to be very strong against bosses. My only concern would be, you know, normally you're going to hit level 60 probably after the second boss. So you might only get these angels to fight bosses 3 and 4, which, you know, not terrible, but might not be the best thing in the world. However, I do feel like this is a pretty strong path. I like it a little bit more than the other one because I don't really feel like 4 times damage is very important. And really, in my opinion, the only thing that makes the white path playable is the fact that you can move. I think that is the best new feature for this class, is that you can move while casting on both sides. So no matter what evolution path you go, you're able to move. And I feel like that was, in my opinion, the worst thing about the class, was that you couldn't move. And now that you can, that kind of solves any issues that I had with it. For both white paths, there's not really too many things that I would suggest outside of the normal divine weapon skills and passives. I think that you could totally win the game without buying any other weapon skill. I mean, look, I don't have any weapon skills outside of a buff and Immaterial Cloak, which I only get Immaterial Cloak to level 5 because I feel like Immaterial Cloak is almost a requirement for this class, just because it helps you just stand in the same spot if you need to and not worry about having to go and collect all of those EXP shards. And you also save 5 level skill points by not going item pickup range. Curse is always going to be good with this class. Death Sting is going to always be good with this class. You're going to want to pick up Miniaturize so that you, while in those, you know, few seconds of vulnerability when you can't take damage, which once you have max SP, I really feel like it's only like half a second to a second maybe, you're able to dodge basically. And throw in some lucky Immaterial Cloak procs that push the enemies away from you, you're taking damage very, very rarely. Overall, I would say that probably the black path is definitely my favorite, but the white path is certainly just as playable. The black path just fits my playstyle a little bit more, where I think that Death Sting is still the best playstyle, basically. Getting Death Sting to max and then going abilities that are going to deal as much damage as possible. If you saw what the black path looks like on both evolution paths, it's all about constant damage. Oh, here's the boss, by the way, so you can see what the look at that boss damage. Died immediately. So this is going to be huge for the bosses. I'm playing on double XP right now. That's why I'm such a high level so early in. So don't think that you're going to be this level. Assume you're going to be half this level. Granted, on this map, you could hit level 30 at 4 minutes. So on this map, it's not that big of a deal, but the other maps, you're definitely going to level up a little bit slower. But overall, I'm really happy with the Divine. I like the changes a lot. I think it makes the class, it's the same amount of cheese, but it has extra DPS, and I think it's much stronger now. So definitely looking forward to what the third evolution path is going to look like, and I am definitely excited for when this comes out on the actual game. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and let me know. If you guys want access to the beta so that you can test these classes yourself, go ahead and go to the Steam page for the game and just go to the discussion page or the news, and you should be able to see the Discord link there, and you'll just join the Discord. Once you're in the Discord, should be very simple to follow the instructions to get into the beta, which you don't have to opt in or anything. You just got to make sure you read everything, and once you read everything, you just go ahead and download it off of Steam. So as always, guys, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to drop a subscription, and as always, I will see you on the next one.